Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this second video on Stata, we will talk about import and export data in Stata. I mean, there are different type of format in which data is available. It could be either in the star.dta format, which is the native Stata format. We'll talk about that. We'll also speak about the data which is available in the text file. Most of the time when we see that data is available either as .txt or .csv, which is comma separated values file. So we'll talk about how to import data in star.csv format. And many a times, we see that our data or bunch of data on a particular project is available in XLS format or Excel format. So how to import that. Apart from this, we will also talk about data in other formats like SPSS save format or even the SAS format and any other data which is actually available on web. So how to import data from web and use it in Stata. So we'll talk about actually all that in this particular video. To begin with, we'll go back to our Stata window. Yeah, I think before beginning, it is very important that we set up certain thing in within this data. In the last video we spoke about different panels. Like this one actually is history. You can see there's a lot of work. Which I have done. Prior to recording this particular video, and then this side is the data, and data will have variables, variable label, and we can see each variable and its property in this particular side of panel. So what we'll do right now, we'll clear everything so that there is nothing. I might keep the history side of it, but I'll clear the data which is actually currently in the system, and then we'll start afresh. So you can see that the data which was here has gone, and even the variable this property is blank now. And we will also clear the results here. Okay, so now uh, to start data, it is very important to start your work in Stata. It is very important to set up the working directory or to see where exactly we are in the Stata, where exactly things are being saved. So we can check that through this command pwd. So you can see that my current work is being stored in this particular folder on my SSD hard disk, which is learn data from expert. We can actually also and then what we'll do, we can actually set up as a directory. For us, it can be done directly from here, file, change working directory, and you can choose whatever directly. I'll prefer to be in the same, but you can actually choose any other directory or create a new one for you and then choose that. So okay, so this is the command. What we'll do, so what is important, that cd and then the entire path to that particular place where you want to work. It is very important. Now we want to see what all things are available in this particular directory. What kind of data or what kind of stuff is actually available in this directory. So we'll type dir. It will display file name in the working directory. So you can see that these are the various files which are actually available in the working directory which I have set up for our work. Uh, there are certain files which are XLS, CSV, and then you have one DAT file, also a DTA file also, which is auto.dta here. I mean, similarly, I mean, there are other stuff also like a JPEG file or things. So whatever actually files are available, you can actually just typing this command dir in the working directory, you can actually, find out, I mean, what all is available. So this is also very important part of setting up your Stata before you begin actually anything. And then another important thing is actually also using, making sure that, I mean, whatever you write, I mean, of course, I mean, whatever command you give, you can actually always go back and select that, or even you can actually use page up and page down to, find out, I mean, the prior command. But so all the history is already here. I mean, like, I have given these commands right now, so you can see that all those here. um, we can actually also, save everything in a log file. You can see that I'm in log file. I mean, there is already something being. So what I'll do, I'll suspend that, and then I'll, sorry, close that, and then I'll begin. So what I'll do, and I'll write this on any name actually. So um, Stata test is the name which I have given. So save. So now, I mean, there is a log file which will be created, and whatever commands that we will give, we will use actually during this particular session, I mean, that will automatically be saved here. Yeah. um, so just to revise, I mean, what all we did, I mean, we actually uh, we used these commands for setting up PWD. We actually spoke about how to set up the working directory. You can actually write the command, or you can actually use the click menu to set up the working directory. And then you can actually see, I mean, what all files are available in the working directory through dir command. And then you can also see, I mean, if there is any start.dta file which is data format other files. So we can actually just if you type dir start.dta, you will know all stata data in the working directory. We can actually also capture log or create a new log file to record our work using this kind of command, this command. Now, I mean, we'll talk about I mean, how to import data. So what we'll do, we'll start with I mean, stata file. Yeah. So I mean, if you remember, I mean, we spoke about, I mean, Stata gives certain file for examples. Those are actually available within the Stata for practice purpose. So if you write sysuse command, and then the name of the file, I mean, clear, I mean, if there is anything existing in the memory, I mean, it deletes that. So it will load that particular data. So let me just type it out, and then we'll see, I mean, what is available here. So our memory is already clear. I mean, you can see that, I mean, there is no data in the background, but we'll still, I think it's a good practice to write clear, so that, I mean, if there is any existing data in the memory, it can be, cleared, and you load what you want for to run the program. So now, I mean, after this program, I mean, this is the data which I have I mean, loaded. We can actually also load it directly because our working directory is this one. I mean, learn Stata from experts. This is the working directory for us. So, and you can see that, I mean, there is one auto.dta file here. So we can actually also use the command um, use, and then auto.dta, and then clear. Clear because, I mean, although it's the same file, but I mean, I have already, there is some data already in the memory. So if you write clear, it will clear the existing data in the memory and load the file. Uh, uh, since we are working in the directory where we want to work, we are in our current working directory. So you don't have to write the entire path. You can actually always use the entire path, like C or then subfolder name, and then the name of the file. Similarly, I mean, if it exists in any other drive, you can actually write the entire path, and then just write that and load the data. So here, so we can see that, I mean, now the data has loaded here. Data have 1978 cases. We can actually look at what exactly is there. So just writing br or browse. I mean, you can see that, I mean, there are 74 cases, and these are the same variable like make, price, mpg, wrap 78, headroom, trunk. I think one very important thing which we spoke in last video also, and I'll continue for the reminder in this one also. Then, I mean, if you browse the data and if you see any variable in red color, like this one here for make, it shows that, I mean, this particular data is a string variable. Okay, this data you can see here is str18, so this is a string variable. All the variables which are black in color are integers or numeric data, like here these are numeric data. Any variable while browsing, I mean, if it shows this blue color like foreign, it's a coded variable. It's a coded variable. In this case, 0 is the value for domestic, and when we look at foreign, value is 1. So it's a 0 1 variable. There is no other category I can see while browsing. So it's a 0 and 1 in the data set, which 0 has been coded as domestic and 1 has been coded as foreign. So I hope this part is clear. We'll go back to the screen. Similarly, we can also import our Excel data. I mean, from wherever, I mean, it exists. To import the Excel data, we'll talk about it in detail. But I mean, I'll go back to the yeah. So to import the Excel data, we can see that importing Excel, you need to write import Excel and then with path the file name. Yeah. And then if you want any specific sheet, because I mean, normally, I mean, what we do, we keep different type of data in different sheets. So you can actually always specify sheet name, and then if you want to specify cell range and then first row. So I mean, if you write this kind of command, it will import the specific file, specific sheet, and the cell ranges, I mean, which you want to import. And first row is actually meant for that first row is name of the variable. So Stata, if you write this, Stata will treat it as variable name, And the same thing is also for the CSV file. So when you import CSV, you need to mention the import delimited or then your filename.csv. We'll see this through our menu. But This is the command that we need to write while importing the data file. Similarly, for SAS data, you need to specify like this. For SPSS, import SPSS, then the name of the file. And for the web use, we'll go one by one on all these options. We can actually also, if it is a Stata file, I mean, at some place in your laptop. So what we can do, we can actually also import it directly. Just click it and it will open that particular file. Or we can actually also file, open, and then you can see, this is the file in my working directory. If I click, since we are already working on this file, if I click, it will directly import that for my use in this data. Yeah. So, and for Excel file import Excel or XLS file, so we'll talk about it. When we see that, then it will ask you. Right now, we are not writing the command directly. We are using the click menu, and because that will also help you understand. What exactly will happen actually when you try to import a Excel file or CSV file or any other format file. So let's browse. You can go to any other folder, but right now we are working in this particular directory, and you can see that there are certain XLS file here. So what we will do, we'll try to open any of these file. Yeah. So this bike customer.xls. So while opening this, this is the worksheet name. Yeah. And then cell range, if you want to specify anything, I think what is important is import first row as variable name. If I don't, you can see here that right now it is A B C D E F G, but I think do you want to import everything as a string, or do you want to preserve the case? For example, there are certain variables which are numeric, there are certain variables which are string. So do you really want to, so it is actually your choice, your option. What do you want? Do you want to preserve the case? Do you want to keep all the data as a string and then later on use a dstring function or any other function to keep the right format? So it is, choice is yours actually. If you can see that, if I keep this so it's purely my choice. I have not clicked here, but we can actually always import everything as a string, or we can keep the form variable properties as it is actually in the data. Okay. Now, once we are fine with, the path with which particular worksheet. If there are more, it will display more. But in this case, there is only one worksheet, so it is actually importing that particular worksheet. You can actually also specify range, but if you want to change, you can actually always change. Now, see, what exactly happens. Yeah. Since there is already other data in the memory, my auto.dta data in memory, so it is asking me, do you want to continue and replace data in memory? So I'll say okay. Now you can see that there is a command import Excel then the path, and then which particular sheet, in this case bike buyer sheet, and then first row is the name of the variable, and then clear means, because I mean I wanted to clear the existing memory and import the new data, so it has imported the new data here. Yeah, which is actually these are the variable names here. In this case, id is the variable which is integer, marital status is a string variable, gender is string variable. We can see, I mean, while browsing, I mean, when I we discussed that, I mean, if it is red color, then yeah. So there are different variables here, and since I mean it was already coded and already, so we can actually always reconvert them if needed in numeric format. But right now, I mean, all the red ones are something which are string, because I mean we imported the Excel file. So, do we really want to keep the data in this format, or do we want to, rework on the data to make sure that, I mean, each variable have the right variable properties before we start working with the Stata? So, which is purely our choice. But right now, when we imported this file, I mean, the black ones are the numeric variables, and the red ones are the string variable. Like, I mean, perhaps the purchase was a coded variable. In the original data set, it might be 0 1 or something like that. But when we imported X from Excel, it was no and yes. So we can actually always reconvert this if needed for in back to numeric for any other statistical you know uh, purpose, analysis purpose. So we'll clear this. I hope you have understood, I mean, importing the XLS file. I'll clear this. I'll show you a different file with Excel file, import Excel. I'll go back to the same directory where I've kept. So I mean, right now, last time we imported bike customer. Let's see, I mean, what is there in this FIFA 2014. If I remember correctly, there are multiple worksheets. That's why I'm trying to open. I hope I'm right. So you can see that, I mean, there are different worksheets in this one. Which particular worksheet do we want in our Stata? So we can actually choose anyone. I'll go with the first one itself, but I mean we can actually always choose whatever I mean worksheet that we want to import. Yeah, let's see all pairs, and so you can see that, I mean, data is changing. I mean there is different data and different thing, different worksheet. So, and as I said earlier, we also want import first row as variable name, because when we want first row as variable name, and then whether we want everything as a string, or whether we want everything as you can see that, I mean, like 31.0, if I try to I mean import as a string, it will make it 31, because I mean otherwise that was a numeric variable. Similarly, yeah, so what I'll leave this as is, and variable case, because I mean if so I'll preserve the variable uh, case, like T is capital and numeric. Stata is actually case sensitive, so Stata will definitely look for how do you write the variable. Do you really want, or do you want everything in the lower case, or do you want everything in upper case? So we can choose. Actually, right now what I'll do, I'll make everything in lower case, maybe. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, how does it change in the data that we import? Yeah. Since there is nothing in memory, I don't think that a pop-up will come this time for to clear the memory, because we have already cleared the memory. Yeah. So you can see that this is the entire path for that particular worksheet which we tried to import. There are 15 variables and 843 observations in this one. And what is important that the Excel file had all this. The first letter was actually caps, but now everything, because we chose the small case, so it has actually made everything as small. So that's how we can actually import the Excel file. We can actually see browse, and you can see that the red ones are string, and there are certain black ones which are numeric variables. I hope this part is clear. Now let's clear this memory and try to import data in other format, CSV format maybe. Yeah. um, as we discussed, we write import delimited, then the path, and then you can actually specify row range or variable names, etc. So we'll see. So we'll use the click function for this import text data, browse. In this one, admission data or breast cancer data. I really don't know what exactly is there in these data sets, but let's see. Okay, so this is breast cancer data. Delimiter, it is up to us whether it's a comma or I've kept it system default automatic, but we can choose. If the data is actually broken by a comma, or whether by a tab or a space is given, so it will take automatically. Since automatically we can see that everything is looks organized, so automatic has worked properly. So when we import this data, it will actually be something like this. First row is variable name is automatic, or always or never, or if I click never, see, it will make the variable name as v1, v2, v3, v4. But when I use automatic, it will take first as the variable name. Yeah. And then floating point precision, there are different other things which we can use, but I can see that this data looks perfect to me. So I'll uh, I mean move with importing it in the you know Stata. So now Stata has imported the text data, which is breast cancer.csv, 11 variables and 699 observation. And these are the variables. You can actually see these variables and their properties. We can actually also see through browsing these variables. Yeah. It says 699 cases, so we can see, yeah, 699 cases, and then number of variables are these. So total there are 11 variables, 699 observations. Yeah. To for importing the SPSS file, we'll need to write the path. We should have the path, and then we can actually, when we write this command, we can actually import SPSS or Stata file, or we can actually also download the file directly from any path, any web portal. We'll write that actually in our command, so that we can see what exactly we can, how exactly we can actually download or import data from web. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll clear this, whatever we have done so far. So now there is no data in the memory, and we will use web use command. Yeah. So so I've written this. I mean, of course, I mean I've taken this from history, but I mean you need to write web use set, and then this is the location where the data exists on some GitHub thing. So it is specify the exact path. Yeah, and then we can actually use this data, because when now we are actually in this particular GitHub folder, I would say. And then we can actually, when you write the file name, this is which is web.indicators underscore long. So because when you go to this particular portal, you will see that, I mean, what all is available. I mean, I have you picked this particular file. So it has imported data from this particular web link from GitHub, and I mean loaded in Stata for our use. We can browse this data and see, I mean, what exactly is there. You can see this web indicator long DTA. There are actually country name, then yeah, some GDP growth and agriculture GDP and other things. So there's some data actually on this particular thing by different year. So friends, I mean, we have already discussed about importing data from various portals, various I mean format. We spoke about, I mean, how do we use DTA format data. We also spoke about how do we use I mean XLS data. We also spoke about how do we use I mean data which is actually in CSV format, or I mean when we write actually these commands for SAS and SPSS, you can actually use import data actually from SAS or SPSS, or I mean from web use. So we have already discussed this using do file. Very one thing which I also spoke in the beginning as well as in the last video, is very important to have I mean create uh, I mean do file for your purpose, because I mean creating a do file always is I mean helpful, because I mean you can't actually just write command one by one. I mean if you have written everything in one particular file, you can run everything in one go. So I mean whatever we did actually in the history, I mean we can actually either, so let me just go back there. So what we'll do, I mean, we can actually also file new do file, or and then I can also control A and control C and then paste here. So and we can actually also run this in one go, or select pieces. For example, I mean, I'll run this particular part C, click do, execute selection. Yeah, so it has actually uh, cleared the memory, then again taken the data, or maybe I mean we can actually clear the memory or import Excel and then browse this particular thing. So I mean when you write a do file, I mean it is actually always helpful to reproduce the thing which you have done. You can see that, I mean because I mean all these commands are already there in my history. I mean I have and we can actually save this do file for later use. I mean whatever we do, I mean we can, it is actually always it is always a good practice to keep your thing in a log file, as well as actually create a do file to run everything in one go. You don't have to write command one by one and run and see. You can actually write a text file which can actually serve as do. I mean, of course, writing this the way, I mean, a script should be written for Stata, and then you can actually run in one go. One second. Okay. We've spoken this. We have discussed about the setup. We have discussed about. We have discussed about, I mean, how do we browse data, and what is the significance of different colors. I mean, when you have data in red text, which is a string variable, if it is a black text, it's a numeric variable, and if it is a blue text, which is actually labeled numeric variable, example 0 is domestic, 1 is foreign. While importing the Excel file, do's and don'ts, I think this is very important. Import first row as variable name. Otherwise, I mean, it will give a default name v1, v2, v3, which might be very difficult for a user to handle. So it's always a good practice to, import first row as variable name. I mean, if your Excel file has actually that kind of thing, and then import everything as a string. I mean, if you want to keep preserve the property as it is in the Excel, if your Excel have certain variables in numeric, certain in a string, you can actually preserve that. I mean, so if you import everything as a string, means Stata will treat all those as text, and then you will have to, I mean, again, de-string for your purpose. I mean, if a variable is numeric in nature for analysis, or a particular methodology requires a numeric variable. You can actually always create recode variable, I mean, even from a string, and then create another variable which is actually, numeric for your data use. So we can talk about that in later videos. And preserve variable case, because, I mean, if your variable case is caps, begins with caps, or, I mean, everything is small, so we can actually always, we have discussed this, exporting data. Okay, so now the next part is, I mean, how do we export data from XLS or from CSV to Stata. So, what we'll do, I mean, we'll go back to Stata, and there is a data which is already there, but, I mean, yeah. So what I'll do, I mean, I'll just browse this data, BR, which is actually some data which we imported. If I want to export this data to, say, any other format, I mean, choose that particular thing, and then variable leave empty for all variables. I mean, if you leave empty, otherwise it will, yeah. So when while exporting, you will see that, I mean, there are different type of actually options come. So we'll keep, I mean, this in mind while and then you can actually always give a name to your I mean, exported file where you want to save this, and what is the format of the file. You can actually choose the new one, and then allow worksheet to be modified if it exists, replace worksheet if it exists. So I really don't know if there is any other file test1.xls, so I'll just allow or replace. And then save variable name to first row in Excel file, yes, of course. And then output numeric value not label of labeled variable, preserve the sales style and format of an existing worksheet, replace Excel file. So I'll just pick all these options here. If in, if expression, I mean, if I want a range of observations, but in this case, I mean, I want to keep everything. I mean, we can actually always pick any other range. Then export missing value as whatever. I mean, we can actually specify, okay, if there is a missing value, I mean, how do we want to express it? So for example, I mean, if I write express missing value as, yeah, I don't know, I mean, if this is correct, but I mean, I'm just writing it here. So now, okay, so you can see, I mean, the command is written export Excel using that particular path, then variable name, replace missing, I mean, I give this number, and then test1.xls. When we try to open this test1.xls, we can see, I mean, what exactly is there in the XLS file. So test1.xls. So there were certain missing values in these columns N and O, which I didn't know, and so it has made all those values as 99999. Otherwise, it has imported all the data which we had in the Stata as the Excel file. So friends, I hope you like this video, and thank you so much for actually watching my channel, and please do write your comments, do write your feedback in the comment box, and yeah, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.